Hello, Disney fans. Welcome to my review of Descendants 2. I'm really excited to talk about the second of the Descendants movies. I ended my last review by saying that, in my opinion, each of the Descendants movies is better than the one even before it. And considering that these started out with just being a Disney Channel original movie, which there were a lot of at this time, that's saying something. Descendants 2 really picks up with the idea of what happens after Happily Ever After. In the first movie, we saw the four VKs all decide that they want to be good and they are welcome as citizens of Oregon, the combined kingdom run by King Ben now that his parents have stepped down as king and queen. Well, Happily Ever After isn't quite going so well. All of the Descendants movies start out with a big musical number, either right at the beginning or very near the beginning. Well, this one starts out with the four VKs apparently casting a spell on the people of Oregon.
Wicked ways beneath the skin. Let all who taste it now join in.
The spell, which is supposedly going to turn everybody in Oregon evil, really doesn't have that effect. Really, it just makes them cut loose into a dance party. And you can kind of see why the VKs might be a little bored with everything being too good. Carlos actually describes it in one verse as happily ever after with a little flavor. All I want is to make things a little bit livelier around Oregon. It turns out this is all just a fantasy of Mel's. Basically, she's mentally going to her happy place. In reality, she's being bombarded by reporters all wanting to interview her and ask her a whole bunch of questions. She's got it harder than the other VKs because, well, they're just regular students at Oregon now. She's the king's girlfriend, and everybody knows her background, and they're making a huge deal out of that. Luckily, Ben comes to her defense and tries to help her out as much as he can.
We will let you know if and when that particular situation changes.
Did you ever think you'd be with a villain kid?
We're done here.
The other three BKs are loving being in Oregon. They're having no problems with this. Evie, especially, is living her dream. She's even making money on the side designing clothes for people. Life couldn't be better for her. Jay and Carlos, meanwhile, each have a smaller problem of their own. We saw in the last movie that Jay loves being on the tourney team. Well, he's also on the fencing team as captain. And they're a man short because Ben, being king now, doesn't have as much time for sporting events. Being a man short is the big problem. Lonnie, the daughter of Mulan, really wants to be on the team. And she's good. There's no doubt she has the skill at it. But Jay feels more bound by the rules now, which say the team has to have a captain and 8 men. So even though he wants to put her on the team, he's trying to follow the rules, which is a little bit of a sore spot for him. He's trying, but still wants to do the right thing. Carlos's big problem is he wants to ask out Jane, the daughter of the fairy godmother. And he is just not able to find the words to ask her out. He's afraid of rejection, he doesn't quite know what to say. Well, Mel has been relying on her spell book to get by, and He tries to help Carlos by creating a truth gummy for him. Once he eats it, he will say exactly what he's thinking, exactly what he feels. Slight problem when Dude the campus mutt eats it first.
Ooh, bad dog.
Man, that thing was nasty. And you just gotta man up. And while you're at it, scratch my butt.
I love that Dude might be a talking dog, but he is still a dog. Well, meanwhile, back on the Isle of the Lost, the other VKs who weren't chosen to come to Oregon, they're not having it so good. And there's one person in particular who wants to change that, and that is Uma, daughter of Ursula. She's played by China Anne McClain, who knocks it out of the park with her performance right from her first song.
What's my name? This is all hands on deck. Calling out to lost boys and girls. I'm getting tired of the disrespect. We won't stop till we rule the world. It's our time. We know this. Our sails about to be set.
Uma's intro song, What's My Name, is such an upbeat number like all the songs in here. I really do think that each movie in the Descendants franchise keeps getting better, and this one has even better songs than the first one did. They're all very catchy, very lively, very upbeat, and I wish that I could show all these songs in their entirety, along with about a million other little moments that I had to leave out. When I was recording the clips for this review, I actually recorded a lot more that didn't end up in the final video that I had to choose to leave out for time's sake. But there is one little moment that I had to include, and that is a brief cameo.
Son, you're clown. Mom, these dishes ain't gonna wash themselves.
We may never see her face in here, but that's Whoopi Goldberg playing Ursula. Just a fun little detail. Well, back in Oregon, Mel and Ben have not had any time to be alone together, to be themselves. They've just been swamped with royal duties. They finally get a minute alone together at a picnic. Another fun detail in here is that all the foods that Mel magically makes for Ben are the same foods that featured during Be Our Guest. Yeah. Hot hors d'oeuvres, beef ragout, all of those that you know from the song. Well, Mel did not really have time to make all of those wonderful foods. And she's been having to rely on magic just to get by. She's used a spell to change her hair to blonde instead of purple. She's magically speed read all of the royal protocol. And of course, her latest spell is making this meal. And when Ben finds her spell book in the picnic basket, he is not happy about it. Now, this moment I found to be extremely out of character for Ben. This is the same Ben who didn't care when Mal used a love spell on him. He would have zero problem at all with her using magic normally. The only reason I can think of that he got so upset was that, well, of course, he's not happy that she didn't tell him the complete truth, that she wasn't open about it. But I also get the idea in this scene that he's also a little bit frustrated that she has a way to make things easier that he doesn't have. Although he could have that if he would just ask her to do a couple spells for him.
To be king has been easy for me?
No!
I thought we were doing this together.
Ben, we are in this together.
But we're not, Mel. We're not. You've been keeping secrets and lying to me. I thought we were done with that. This isn't the Isle of the Lost, Mel.
Yeah, believe me, I know that.
Mel decides after this that she's much better off just going back to the Isle of the Lost where she can be who she really is. Part of feeling more like her old self again is getting her normal appearance back. She made herself over as a blonde to try to fit in, but that's not her. Well, the person she goes to for help with this is Dizzy, the daughter of Drizella, who is Cinderella's evil stepsister. And I loved Dizzy right from the first moment that I saw her. She's just got this optimism and this energy in spite of the fact that she's the one currently being treated like Cinderella in the family. And Mel knows she can trust her to make her feel like herself again.
Hey, Dizzy. You used to do Evie, right? Yeah, I thought of little braids. You have any ideas for me?
Of course, when Ben finds out that Mel is left to go back to the Isle, he is devastated. I think he kind of has a bit of an excuse in that he's been under so much pressure lately too, which is why I give him more of a pass for his fight with her because that is such an out of character moment for him. And we've all had moments where we said things we didn't mean, not because we were angry at somebody else, but because we were just overwhelmed by life at the moment. Well, he is determined to get her back, but it's not safe for him on the Isle. The King of Oradon isn't exactly Mr. Popularity among the villains and their children. The VKs go with him, and they seriously need to help him to try to fit in there so nobody recognizes him. And the song where they give him advice is one of my favorites in this whole franchise, Chillin' Like a Villain. I love this number and I wish I could just show clip after clip of this. I can make a whole video just analyzing this song. And one of the great things about it is the way it begins, where we really hear Sophia Carson show off her singing ability as Evie.
Let me tell you something you can really trust. Everybody's got a wicked side. I know you think that you can never be like us. Watch it burn so you can get it right.
The advice that the VKs give him always makes me smile. And the dancing and the singing in here and the stage, the way the whole number is staged, just watch this and tell me this wasn't meant to be a stage musical on Broadway.
You need to watch your back. You need to creep around. You need to slide real slow. Don't make a sound. And if you want it, take it. And if you can't take it, break it. If you care about your health, seriously, you need to not be yourself.
You can just see in this number so many things, little details that would make it a perfect number for a stage production. And I did actually find out that there is a stage version of Descendants designed as a junior version for grade schools or high schools to perform. And I've seen clips of it actually while doing a little research for this. I did come across clips of it on YouTube, and it is pretty good. But if anybody who is in charge of Broadway ever happens to see this video on some off chance, please, please, please make a professional version of the Descendants movies or stage shows. They were made to be on Broadway. I could go on and on, like I said, about this song, and there's a million little moments in it, like when Ben says, "I'm not going to thank you for your help," and Jay gives you a little approving nod, like, "Hey, he's learning how to be wicked. This is awesome." But I gotta move on to the rest of the story. That is something else, by the way, that I've been considering is doing talks just on specific Disney songs. And let me know if you think that would be a good idea, because I got some ideas for some videos for different Disney numbers that I would like to analyze. Let me know if, in the comments if you think that would be something you'd be interested in or not. Anyway, they go to find Mel, and she refuses to come back with them, and it takes about 5 seconds for Ben to get kidnapped by Uma.
Come on. Go away!
Let's give her a couple hours to cool off.
Guys,
Where's Ben?
Uma arranges a meeting with Mel and tells her, "You want Ben back? I want Fairy Godmother's wand." Her ultimate goal is to break down the barrier so that all the kids still trapped on the Isle of the Lost can get to Oridon and have everything that Mel and her friends now have. Of course, actually giving her the wand is out of the question, but they come up with a really clever plan to get around that.
Of all people, the
What,
wand.
do you have a
Wait,
twin?
you guys! Your 3D printer.
A phony wand.
Yes.
In my sleeve.
And the second Uma tests her, she'll know it's fake. Okay, so then we just get Ben out really fast. We need some kind of diversion.
Smoke bombs.
That's perfect. I'll get the chemicals I need from Lady Tremaine's place. That could work.
While the boys go to use the 3D printer to make a replica of the wand, the girls go and they get the chemicals they need for the smoke bomb from Lady Tremaine. Well, from her chemical supply. She's obviously not going to actually be clued into what they're doing. They get help from Dizzy, and Evie has always seen Dizzy as a little sister. And when they leave Lady Tremaine's, she feels absolutely terrible that Dizzy has to be left behind.
Hey, we gotta go. Okay. She's gonna be okay. Yeah. But she could be so much more.
As sad as this moment is, there's another big tearjerker coming up. Mel makes it clear to Evie that she will not be returning to Oridon, but she knows that that's where Evie is meant to be. And this is heartbreaking for the two of them because they are the best of friends. They are sisters in every way that matters. And now they're going to be separated. And the song that they sing about that, the space between, that song really affects me personally. The reason for that is I first watched the Descendants movies during the pandemic lockdowns. I I'm one of the essential workers who had to work during the whole pandemic, but I was able to get a 2-week vacation to try to avoid people as much as I could. Unfortunately, of course, avoiding people also meant I had to stay away from the people I loved in order to protect who I love most in order to protect them because nobody could take a chance on getting anyone else sick. And the hardest thing about that was being away from the people who I loved but didn't always get to see as often as I wished I could. Especially my best friend and sister Rue. And it kept going through my mind during this time, what if what if we both don't make it? What if we've seen each other in person for the last time? And Rue, who is a lot more positive than I am, reassures me like, no, no, we're gonna get through this. We will see each other in person again. It's gonna be all right. She really was my rock during that time. She still is my rock. Thankfully, we both made it through this, and we have seen each other in person again. But whenever I hear this song, that takes me back to that moment and what it felt like at that time.
This is not the end. You part who I am. Even if we're worlds apart, it's still in my heart. It will always be you and me. You find me in a space between.
A lot of the songs in these movies are really upbeat, the kind you can dance to, the kind that really have a rhythm to get you going. But when they put in a sentimental song like this, one that's designed to tug at the heartstrings, it will really move you. Well, the girls are doing their part to help get things ready by making the smoke bombs as a distraction out of what they got from Lady Tremaine's storehouse. Meanwhile, the guys are still in Oregon and they're getting the 3D wand printed, and Ben, of course, is still literally tied up with Uma. She lets him know exactly why she's angry. He took the four VKs that we've gotten to know so far, and he's handed them a dream. They're living everything that they could want now. But the others left on the island, they're a little resentful that they weren't that lucky, and they're still having to live with struggling every single day. And once he gets the idea of what he's done to the others he left behind, he really regrets it.
I never thought of it like that before. That I could have hurt the people I didn't pick. The plan was to start with 4 kids and bring more people over. I guess I was busy being king. That sounds lame.
Even though Ben sympathizes now and he wants to help the other VKs that were left behind, Uma's not willing to trust him and just let him go. Well, the four VKs meet up again, and the guys have brought back a little help. They brought Lonnie, who overheard and insisted on coming, and Dude, who snuck along. That's going to be very useful, especially having Dude there, and I'll explain why shortly. They go to confront Uma, and of course, this results in a really epic rap battle. Again, this is staged like a Broadway number. But I've been doing more thinking about this, and as much as I would have loved to have seen the original cast on Broadway doing this as a stage show, I can't see it done without them. There's recently been news of a Descendants 4, and when I heard that, my first thought was, I wish they wouldn't, because the cast would have to be different, and I really don't want to see this ruined. Because with a lot of series, like I said, they go downhill slowly, and the last one ruins the other ones. In this case, each movie so far has been better, and I have heard that the new movie will involve different characters, so it won't be replacing any of the cast, but I'm still going to be cautious about that. I'll give it a chance because I believe that, you know, you never know how something's going to be until you actually see it. So while I will watch it, nobody is ever going to replace this cast. They all do a phenomenal job in singing, dancing, and acting. Now, this number ends with Mal about to hand over Fairy Godmother's wand, or at least the duplicate of it. But Uma's no fool. She knows she could be handed a fake, and so she demands that Mal actually use the wand to perform some magic. Very luckily, Dude has Dude never does lose the ability to talk given to him by that truth gummy. Comes in handy here when they're able to fake a spell.
Although it seems absurd, turn your bark into a word. Talk, dog.
Does this vest make me look fat?
This fools Uma almost long enough for them to get out of there. There is a brief battle with, of course, everybody making it out safely, and Lonnie plays her role in that, for which everybody's very grateful. They get back to Oregon, and Mel has gone with them, but she does not know how she's going to go on being an Auradon. And she sits down with her friends, and they're all like, "Yeah, let's have a talk about what's going on here with you." And I love how sweet Carlos is about this. He gives her the best advice that he could give.
I'm a mess. I'm such a mess. I mean, 6 months ago, I was, you know, stealing candy from babies, and now everybody wants me to be this lady of the court, and I have no idea how to keep up the act.
Then don't.
Carlos knows she has to be herself. She can't keep trying to pretend she's the perfect Auradon girl. Either all the people, especially Ben, are going to love her as she is, or this is never going to work. And he tells her that if Ben doesn't love the real her, then he's not the one for her. Simple as that. Well, Dude gives this advice right back to Carlos about asking Jane out. And we have another really sweet moment when he does, and she obviously accepts. And I love his expression when he just takes her in his arms. He's like, wow. She actually agreed to this, and I'm really here holding her. This is amazing.
Maybe.
Like boyfriend and girlfriend, we can hold hands instead of slugging each other all the time, and we can text, and I can tell you how great you are because Carlos, you're really, really great, and I'm the luckiest girl in the world. You're so nice and cute.
Me too. I am the luckiest girl. I mean, guy. Luckiest guy.
Carlos's problem from the beginning of the movie is nicely solved, and Jay's found an answer to his problem from the start. And he gives a really great talk to his team about how valuable the contributions of everyone are, no matter who they might be.
Y'all know I come from the Isles, right? Things are pretty whack. Now, but there is one thing the Isles got an order on. If you're strong, I want you by our side, girl or boy.
Jay, hold on here. We don't break the rules here in Ordon. It's over on the island.
Jay doesn't break the rules. He uses them. The rules say a captain and 8 men. Nothing says the captain has to be a man. And with Jay being such an amazing team player, his solution is to step down and give Lonnie the position as captain so she's able to play with the team. That leaves one VK left with her problem from the beginning. Mel still doesn't feel like she belongs in Oregon. But Jay tells her, you know what, give it one more try, go to the cotillion with Ben as the real you, and if he can't accept that and you're still unhappy here, I'll take you back to the Isle myself. She does go, but her problems are going to get worse before they get better. She dropped her spell book when she was on the Isle. Uma found it and used it to cast the love spell on Ben. Neat little detail here. The song that Uma and Ben dance to is Kiss the Girl. Appropriate since it's from The Little Mermaid and her mother is Ursula. I didn't even realize that's what the song was until I was rewatching the movie to make this video. They do it in a different style, but I think that's a really neat detail that they used that song. Of course, Mal is devastated by this. And nobody is happy about Ben's new girlfriend. Even the former king and queen, Belle and the Beast, are on Mal's side here. And they tell her, look, we'll talk to him. This is not right. We're sorry that you're hurting. And I love that they've already accepted her to this degree that they will back her over their own son when she's in the right. Well, Mal would have probably just gone off broken-hearted, except there's an unveiling ceremony as part of this for a stained glass window that Ben had designed, showing them as a couple. And that window shows the real her, with her eyes green the way they are when she cast a spell, purple hair instead of the fake blonde she had, and she realizes he does love the real me. And it also clicks that he's under a spell. Well, of course, you know what the best way is to break any spell in a Disney movie. True love's kiss.
I know what love feels like now. Of course, I love you. And I've always loved you.
Uma's not just going to take this. She dives overboard, and remember how in The Little Mermaid Ursula became gigantic? Yeah, Uma can do that. But she's not the only one who can use a little transformation. Turns out Mal also inherited her mother's ability to become a dragon. And the two of them are going to have a major fight until Ben dives overboard and actually gets between them. And I give him a lot of credit here for trying to use diplomacy and find a peaceful solution.
What are you gonna do, Ben? Blast me? No! It's got to stop! This isn't the answer! The fighting has got to stop! Nobody wins this way! We have to listen and respect each other. It won't be easy, but let's be brave enough to try.
Amazingly, Uma does back down. She just leaves quietly, and nobody tries to stop her, which is surprising. But I think they all realize that Ben didn't want her to be treated like a criminal. He wants to try to negotiate to give everyone on the Isle of the Lost a second chance. So Uma leaves, and of course, this all ends with a dance party. And I love the dancing in this scene. It is extra incredible because they danced in water, which had to be hard because it would have been incredibly easy to slip. But they do it, and it is perfection. Of course, the story's not over yet. And there's even a little clip with Uma turning, looking over her shoulder, saying, "What, you didn't think the story was over, did you?" Just like Mal did in the first movie. There's more to come in Descendants 3, and I can't wait to get working on that. I have some clips filmed already, so that one will hopefully be out very soon. I love that each of these movies feels like a natural progression of the story. All too often, when there's a sequel, it's a flat out cash grab to make the most they can off the popularity of the first movie. But in this case, you know, this answers what happens after Happily Ever After. In the first one, the four VKs realized that they wanted to be good. They became welcome members of Oridon, and we think, oh, that's, a happy ending. No, it's not going to be that easy for everybody. And this continues the story of what happened to everybody else left on the Isle of the Lost. What is Ben's what is Mel's relationship with Ben going to be now? How are the other VKs adjusting? And this movie progresses nicely from where the last one ended without feeling at all forced. And the next one does the same for this. I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you haven't already watched the Descendants movies, I really recommend them. You're going to love them. Obviously, some things have been spoiled by my videos, but I mean, that's kind of there's kind of no way to avoid that with a review. So see you next time, and until then, remember the magic.